In today's Leeds news, deadline day wrap-up, Mullen completes exit, Matteo Joseph late bid, Rothwell on his Leeds United future, and Leeds links where they ended up. Morning folks, Jer here at The View on Tuesday morning the 4th of February with your Leeds United news. The transfer window has slammed shut as it does in January, with Leeds doing what they do in January and very little business. The only January window where Leeds did any kind of major business was the winter window that saw Weston McKennie and Jorginho Rutter join Leeds United along with Max Ferber, and Leeds subsequently relegated from the Premier League. So maybe it's a good omen to not do anything in January. Maybe it's a really big gamble not to do anything in January, but I suppose we'll have to find out what that will look like over the next 17 league games. But we'll start off today by getting into the deadline day wrap-up stuff. And yesterday, as we went into the late evening, a ton of names were being linked with moves to Leeds United. But Leeds have made the decision, as I say, to go with what they have got. Barring injuries, this Leeds United squad should still be good enough to easily get out of this division. However, it is barring injuries. Should the worst happen, this window could be viewed as a massive gamble that didn't pay off. Now, Leeds have very clearly got one eye on a summer transfer window and a Premier League move, looking at the names that were linked with at the moment. But Adam Armstrong was one of those names that popped up yesterday afternoon, and according to Leeds Live sources, they say that once he was offered to Leeds, Leeds made the decision not to make a move for the player. Armstrong ended up signing for West Brom. Leeds clearly didn't see him adding any additional quality to what they've already got in the side. And Farke has always insisted that he won't bring in any players unless they make the overall picture better than it currently is. And he clearly feels that wasn't the case for the targets being offered to Leeds United. It should be also said that Daniel Farke's role as manager of the club, and he is very much involved in the transfer process. He has said continuously throughout the January window that he makes the final decision on the players. So whether he wanted the players or not, whether the players were being offered, or whether the calibre of player was there at all that Leeds needed to bring in, remains to be seen. But Leeds did close out the window with a couple of exits out the door. The likes of Joe Gelhardt going on loan to Hull, Sonny Perkins completing his permanent move to Leyton Orient, Charlie Crew at Doncaster on loan and going really well, and Luca Thomas went to Halifax where he's already scored since joining them. Another one out the door was Jeremiah Mullen, and we'll have a little talk about his move and what happened with him yesterday. In the final hours of last night's window, Leeds and Dunfermline Athletic agreed a loan deal for the Leeds United under-21 centre-back Jeremiah Mullen. The 20-year-old has signed for the Scottish side on an initial loan till the end of the season, but there is an option in there for a move to make the deal permanent, with a small undisclosed fee being mentioned. Mullen started his career at Liverpool's academy before moving to Leeds United in 2022 as a 17-year-old, and he will now take the next steps in his career up in Scotland. He was on loan last season at Inverness Caledonian Thistle before he picked up a pretty bad injury that curtailed most of his season, but he gets another crack at Scotland with Dunfermline, and we wish Jeremiah all the best in his move up to of Scotland, and hope he has a really good time there. Moving on to another player that was linked with a move away from Leeds United yesterday but ultimately stayed put, and that's Matteo Joseph. During the afternoon yesterday, while Leeds were trying to pry a striker away from the clutching hands of Southampton, Leeds were hit with a bid for one of their own strikers from a very unexpected location, and came pretty much out of nowhere. Initially it looked like it was just deadline day internet speculation, but shortly after, the YEP, Leeds Live and the Athletic all confirmed that the bid for Matteo Joseph was a genuine bid and had been placed by Real Betis. Betis offered a £10 million plus add-ons deal for Matteo Joseph, and Leeds are said to have rejected the bid pretty quickly as they see the player as a vital part of the squad moving forward. But there may be a little bit of unrest in this. It's not a completely clear story. Betis did have another target and they moved for Chuco Hernandez from the MLS, but the reports on that deal say that Matteo Joseph himself is keen on a move back to Spain, and Joe Donoghue, confirming the offer from Betis, went a step further to say that there were several inquiries from clubs in Spain. So whether this has any kind of a long-term impact on the player, whether we see a little bit of unrest around the place, this might be the squad harmony Daniel Farke spoke about. This could be nothing but speculation, or could be something, but we'll have to see in the next couple of weeks. We know what Daniel Farke is like. If Matteo Joseph is asked to leave, chances are he won't be on the bench next week, but we'll have to wait and see. I would imagine it's just speculation, but Joseph has a very, very bright future, and you would want to see that future at Leeds United, whether it's this season, next season, or the year after. Matteo Joseph has a contract at Leeds until 2028, and there should be no reason why Leeds should look to sell a player who all he's missing right now is the finish, and he's not far away from getting that right. So when he clicks, there's a really, really good striker there, and Leeds should be smart and hang on to him as long as they can. And moving on to a current loan player at Leeds who was talking about his future, and that's Joe Rothwell. He has been in excellent form for Leeds United this season, one of my personal favourite players in the squad, but the on-loan midfielder has been speaking about his time currently at Leeds as well as his potential future with the club. Rothwell has 18 months left on his current deal at Bournemouth, and he's said to be on a modest enough wage of 30,000 a week. Modest enough as a footballer, not as the rest of us, because 30k a week is a pretty bloody good salary. But speaking of don't go to bed just yet, Rothwell said that he is still unsure of his longer term Leeds United future beyond this season, and on the whole topic he said the following: "This loan has been tough because I've moved up here without my family, my kids being in school. It wasn't just a case of moving them with me because I don't know what's going to happen next season. I made the decision with my wife to leave them. It's been tough. I don't get to see them as much as I'd like to, but we knew that it was a sacrifice that we had to make. Hopefully next season we're all back together again." Rothwell went on to say that the loan currently at Leeds has probably gone about as well as it can. He's playing plenty of football. Leeds are top of the table. He did say it took a little bit of time to get going, but he always backed himself once he got into the side, and he's been really, really good, and I think we'll probably more likely see Joe Rothwell deployed at home games and Ilya Groove deployed at away games until Pascal Stroud comes back in, where obviously probably Ethan Ampadu will move into that position. But Graham Bailey spoke on Joe Rothwell's future as well, and he says that the reports from internally in Leeds suggest that Leeds do want to sign Joe Rothwell on a permanent deal. He will be a very strong squad player for Leeds, but whether he would want to be a squad player in the Premier League if Leeds do go up remains to be seen. Could be a very good player for Leeds in the Championship should we not go up, but let's hope that that doesn't happen and we get up, and we'll see what happens with Joe Rothwell in the future. But it's been going well for him. He's been a really good player for Leeds this season, probably a little bit underrated when he first came in, but I think he's definitely shown his value to Leeds fans currently, and as I said, big fan of what he's done so far. He's a tempo changer for me, and I would like to see more of him in this side. Moving on to the final part of today, and Leeds, as I say, have been linked with an absolute ton of players over the course of the last month. Some with some level of credibility that may turn into something down the road in the summer. Some very clearly Premier League level targets that didn't come into the Championship, but we'll see what happens further on. But we thought we'd wrap them all up. The main ones, the ones that were confirmed as being slightly more credible than others. Again, most of them with a pinch of salt. But we'll wrap up where everyone went and what happened with them. We'll start off with Cameron Archer. He stayed at Southampton. They rejected the move from Leeds and refused to sell the player. Leeds were in talks all day yesterday with Southampton to get this one done, but unfortunately it didn't get done in the end. James McAtee, with all the rumours of Leverkusen and Leeds and everybody else interested in him, James McAtee ended up staying put at Manchester City, but it could be one that Leeds could look at in the summer should they get promoted. We know the club like him. Daniel Svensson, the left back that was linked with Leeds a couple of times over the course of the window, he ended up at Borussia Dortmund on deadline day, so he is out of the equation for Leeds right now. A very good, promising young left back. We did say that during the week, but he's off to Dortmund. Archie Brown from Ghent has remained at Ghent, so could be a longer term option should the club decide to look at him. One of the early transfer links of this window coming in December was Dor Turgeman from Israel. He ended up staying at Maccabi Tel Aviv. Part of the story said that he could stay there till the end of the season before then making a move. And we'll have to see if that happened. The young Australian goalkeeper Robbie Cook that was linked with Leeds, well, he did actually sign for Leeds during the window, so technically Leeds signed one during the window, although he is very much a goalkeeper for the academy. Louis Barry ended up signing for Hull City after links with a ton of clubs. The guaranteed minutes and a guaranteed start is the key factor for Aston Villa in that one, and he went there. Nico Elvedi, he ended up staying put at Gladbach. Was open to a move, but it didn't happen. The money wasn't paid, the bid wasn't put in. And he is potentially looked at as Leeds as a summer target. And I think we've said that consistently all January, that he looks like he's probably a Premier League level player. That makes sense for next year. Andrew Amabamadeli, he ended up going on loan to Strasbourg, cut and dry. Ben Davis stayed put at Spurs. Kelechi Iheanacho linked with Leeds towards the back end of the window. He ended up going to Middlesbrough on loan. That was confirmed yesterday on deadline day. Emi Buendia, one of Leeds' main targets for this window, unfortunately ended up going to Bayer Leverkusen on loan with an option for a permanent move to Germany for him. Alvin Sanchez, the talented young number 10 that's over in Switzerland, he stayed at Lausanne and is expected to leave the club in the summer, and that's one for me Leeds should be having a very strong eye on. He is a good young number 10. And then finally, Eduard Spertian, who was linked yesterday. Leeds claim to not be currently pursuing that player, and that could be one again that pops up coming into the summer window. It's probably about 6 weeks before we start getting linked to every single player and their mother between now and the end of the season. So we're in the running now. There's 17 games left in the league. We'll see how that goes. Let's hope that Leeds haven't made a massive mistake here, and let's hope that this is a calculated risk that pays off come the end of the season. Because if it doesn't pay off, everybody will point back to this moment. I think the obvious blame would be at the owners and the manager's feet for not doing something in January when it was there for them to do. It may end up being a good strategy, keeping the money for the summer where Leeds can spend big and bring in Premier League level caliber players if this pays off and we get up. Anyway, we'll have to see. Nobody will know until the end of the season. We can all give an opinion on it, but we'll just have to wait and see what happens. Folks, I'll be back later on this evening for a podcast and a preview for the game against Coventry tomorrow night. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I will talk to you soon. See you.